Hey, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. I did not tell him we were starting. I just wanted to vent a little bit. Steven, pumpkin spice latte. Are there people who are pumpkin spice lattes like in chat right now? Because I think they're disgusting. Are you really drinking?
Will die by them. I don't drink coffee the rest of the
You're
year.
right.
Like
you
I
will.
sort of do.
They're poison.
I only go to Starbucks during pumpkin spice season.
During pumpkin spice season. Okay.
Which gets longer and longer. So pretty soon you're going to be able to go there like all the time.
I sure hope so. That's
I'm
the end game
sure
for
you
me.
can get pumpkin spice any time of year. Like I think
good.
they advertise it in this period, but I think it's a
I know you can't at
mistake.
Starbucks. I've tried.
That feels wrong. I don't know why that feels incorrect, but it does.
Thank you. I agree with you. It is wrong. It's a travesty. I'm basic and I embrace it.
Do you like the taste of it? Like, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the only coffee I really like.
Oh, all right.
And I love coffee.
I do too.
I'm not a huge fan of flavored coffees, though.
Neither am I.
But I do love coffee. I love like a strong coffee.
I do too. Melissa hates coffee.
I do hate coffee.
Yeah.
I do have a regular old chai here.
Nice.
No pumpkin spice in it.
Pumpkin spice. God, I'm just like my view of Steven is like gone down like 1,000 notches because of it. Anyway.
It wasn't that high to begin with. So when am I hitting rock bottom here?
I think we're in the negative at this point. So anyhow. All right, let's get started. So we're doing some wondering today. We are continuing and getting very, very close. I was saying before we just went live that I could see this ending in as few as 3 and as many as probably 8 sessions. I think somewhere in between there, which would put us actually between 70 and 75. That's kind of where I'm looking. And I do mean like, 2 to 2.5 hour. I don't really like doing 3-hour episodes because it sort of strains, I think, everybody. But like 2.5 is usually the target. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. But a lot of that's going to depend upon you all as we're going to get back here in a few minutes to the staging ground. We're going to test to see the results of the various other operations and missions you had going on. And then really, when it comes down to it, like you're the sort of the core Floyd, Gilly, Arinial, the 3 of you, the pledge that you made to Lady Ortolos, you have kept it. You have actually done it. You have helped them. And so now at this point, everything above it is like what you all see fit. Now, obviously, Daggett and Terra and then a bunch of your allies aren't all here solely for the Forlond Elves. They're here because Angmar is rising up and there's that danger. And so it's just a question of how much do you all want to risk, and does your company of allies want to risk to help stunt some of the growth and strengthening of Angmar? So we all, as players, are privy to the fact that in about 50 years' time or so, the shit's going to really hit the fan in Middle Earth. But for now, you guys can do something to at least forestall some of that. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of going through my notes and figuring out, like, trying to see where it could go, because there's a lot of different ways. This could potentially still go towards the end, and I'm very excited. And plus, I was getting a bunch of my stat blocks ready for different bosses and sub bosses and stuff, and it was pretty ugly. Anyhow, Speaking of ugly, Long, tell us about Floyd.
Yeah, Floyd, a miserable dwarf. He's always a miserable. He's 3 tracks down to Shadow Path. He just wrecks up the shadow all the time.
Are you really 3 tracks down? Like legit 3 tracks?
Yeah, actually 3 tracks down.
Yeah, because Daggett is fast. Daggett's pretty far down too, but he got fast forwarded.
I'm on the fast track.
Yeah.
On the highway to hell.
Gilly went down because of some sorcery, but Floyd's just straight up down. Okay, isn't it when you go to 4? Like that's it. You're gone. Like when you're like legit.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. We might see Floyd pull he might get like, what's it called? He's got the gold madness or dragon sickness, right?
Yeah, dragon sickness.
Dragon sickness, yeah.
Okay.
We should do that just because it sounds cool.
It does sound cool. Just turns on everybody all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like, but we've been with you this whole time. Why are you turning on us now? So everybody who watched the 3rd Hobbit movie. Speaking of hobbits, Gilly, who are you?
I am Gilly Kettlegrass, our Bree Hobbit. And yeah, she's very excited that we managed to make it out of Othringol with very few casualties, wounds, etc. Balavan, unfortunately, is pretty catatonic, and we did find the remains of our friend.
Sure.
So she's pretty sad right now, to be fair.
Yeah, I gotta think though, right? Like you tell me, but I gotta think. Like you can't. Did anyone really have optimistic expectations for Sorendir? Like, did anyone really think that they were going to find out any good news?
I knew he was dead the moment I stopped playing him.
I think Gilly held out hope probably the longest. But after a certain amount of time, she realized that if nothing there killed him, maybe the cold already did.
Sure. I mean, the good thing is that he is an elf, so death to an elf is different than other races within Middle Earth. So you have his body, but his spirit has gone somewhere else. But so there's that. And then there's always that whole reincarnation thing that can sometimes happen with elves and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe Sorendir will walk again in our next One Ring campaign. He won't. He won't. So next up, Melissa, tell us about Aurenial.
Aurenial is our champion ranger of the north. She's just one step down the curse of vengeance. I would say that Aurenial, being the character Aurenial, was wondering if we would even ever know what happened with Sorendir, because it's kind of a big place and lots of things could have happened. So I think in one way, Aurenial is appreciative of just sort of the closure that comes with sort of knowing what it was. So I don't think Aurenial was necessarily holding out optimism, as long as Gilly was, that good things happened.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Because like Gilly was saying, there's just so many things that could have gone wrong, even if he didn't. Even if Othringol went well, there's so many other things that could potentially have gone wrong.
Drakes and trolls and all kinds of things.
Sure. I mean, and all those kinds of things we might see at some point between now and the end of the campaign. So I was for no reason at all. I was reviewing the stat block for that Drake. A lot of big numbers.
That's concerning.
I don't
big numbers.
want. I
A lot of
don't.
numbers. A lot of numbers that are big.
Real coincidental there.
I just want to be prepared for all possible consequences.
Right.
For all possible ones. Yeah.
Floy will charge it.
There is that. I don't want to spoil it, but man, there's a couple things that it could do that are just amazing. Speaking of amazing, Steven, tell us about Daggett.
Hey, that's a much better introduction than Long got. Thank you. Daggett is a blue-collar dwarf. The less prosperous dwarf. He's got very scraggly hair, and he was really just humoring his friends with this trip. I think he was pretty certain that an elf would not survive up here. He's not incredibly fond of the elves, as most dwarves tend to be. So I think he was just not willing to say what he knew was the truth. Yeah, sure. Sorendir's fine. Let's go get him.
Yeah. No, I mean, all of that I think is fair. I also think, on the other hand, you guys have done something really good here. Like Othringol, as we've seen, is a very dark and terrible place. Weird, terrible experiments and things have gone on there in the past. Very powerful sorcerer of some kind, a wraith sorcerer or sorcerer wraith was at its at the bowels of it. So the fact that you took that out alone is probably a big hit to the power of Angmar. So even if we weren't being very optimistic about our elf friend, there was something else there's something good that came out of it at least. And then finally, Mitra, tell us about Tara.
Hello. I'm playing Ternath. Tara for short, she pronouns, and she is a ranger of the north. and really excited that there are allies in arms against the shadow here. Feels a little bad about their friend Sorendir, but didn't realize that he was more than just a brother in arms to Belvin. And so that is making her feel a lot of feelings. That she thought it was just a mission, but obviously it's a lot more than just a mission. Because, yeah, so poor Balavan.
Yeah, poor Balavan. Don't worry, he is headed. His spirit is headed out there as well. Just he's taking a different path. Okay, y'all ready?
That does make me feel a lot better.
My head. That was going to be better. Yes, Jeff hates love. I just said in chat that Angmar is where love goes to die. So, all right, here we go.
Lots of us go to die, unfortunately. Perhaps we'll find out in the next.
Really, only one person of significance so far, right? You know, that ranger guy, right? That's
so far.
Okay.
And his wife.
The noise I made was ugly.
Oh yeah, Merriman and Towndale. I forgot about them. My bad. I was talking about the random ranger that died on Mount Graham. Okay, 3 people of sitting today. All right, let's get started. Quick summary. Last time around, you all were at the doors to Othrangold. There was the danger potentially of a cold drake possibly climbing up the cliff. You had seen it a few times. So, I'm not sure if it was stalking you or if it was just coincidence, but you all decided to pick up the unconscious elves that were outside of Othrangold, and you followed the enraged and ensorcelled Balavan into the depths of this strange dungeon. Gilly had an idea to test that ring of dreams, that silver ring that you got when you were in the angle, but it kind of backfired on you as it put you into a sort of an unconscious state and opened you up to these attacks from these various nightmarish echoes that were lingering in the dungeon. Throughout the delve, we also noticed that some of the folks who had been here before, Floy, Aurenial, Gilly, etc., were struggling to remember bits and pieces of the layout. Their memory seemingly addled, much like the elves had been, but to a lesser degree. There were various signs as you started traversing some of these halls that the laboratories within here were kind of growing active once more in some ways. Things had shifted and changed, cleaned up, etc. Eventually, you all, with your searching, you found that room of frozen faces, and there you discovered Gilly, Floy, and Aurenial were on that wall now. Gilly, you also spotted the frozen face of a hillfolk the hillfolk elk rider that you had seen momentarily in that dream state, and on a hunch you destroyed it. And then you heard and felt Othrangold kind of shudder a little bit in response. You pushed forward. You found these arcane chambers where Talendil and Marimbem had passed as you fought this sorcerer that seems to be in charge of Othrangold. And there you encountered that sorcerer Wraith once more, and in a very cruel twist of fate, you saw Marimbem and Talendil sort of animated and shuffle forward in defense of this sorcerer. But you all were able to win the fight. It was a very close fight, actually, but you did prevail. You eventually heard the sounds of Balavan weeping, and you pushed a little further, deeper into Othrangold to its very bottom. And you found he was at the base of this poisoned and frozen tree that was hidden deep within this cavern. And Sorendir was there, encased in this cocoon of grime, the very grime that you had seen throughout most of the dungeon. The long departed Sorendir, I should say, but his spirit was not there. He was dead for all intents and purposes. The quakes kind of continued a little bit, which made you all a little nervous that something might be happening, and so you all fled. You set the tree ablaze on your way out, and that's when you grabbed your elvish allies, Amdarim and the others. Balavan was almost sort of the Walking Dead in some ways, and you all climbed out onto the icy plateau, and that's where we're gonna start, right there on that icy plateau. As you look around, you can feel that horrific hit of the cold. It's fall. I think it's fall, right? Or is it spring? I forget. But it's not wintertime yet. and you're getting hit still with like the mountain winds are slapping against you. You can still feel the mountain itself on the range of mountains of Angmar here is rumbling a little bit. You don't hear the crunching of the sounds of that drake any longer. So it's possible it's left. But you all are on this somewhat frozen plateau. Behind you, the door to Othrangold does close. And you can see that Amdrim and the elves, they look a little confused, but they are awake as they start to kind of come to. And you can see that Balavan is here as well, kind of collapses down to the earth. He still has Sorendir with him. And all of the elves are kind of gathering around the body of Sorendir at this point. What is everyone doing?
I take off the handkerchief that Gilly had, and I start wiping down my face, my neck. And then there's still a stain, a black purplish on my neck, effectively taking a shadow scar here so I can reset my shadow path or shadow points.
Okay.
Nice.
The residue of some of the sorcery that had been just pelting you all the way through is kind of manifesting in this wound.
Yeah, because didn't you get grabbed by that hand too? Ooh.
Is there a thing that our patron can do for
Patrons,
shadow scars?
not for shadow scars, but she can help with basically shadow resistance rolls. She can give you favored.
Got it. Thank you. I've never had to use that mechanic. I haven't had to use that mechanic yet, so I'm not super familiar with it.
And your fellowship points reset too, so you can do that again if you like.
Cool.
So when we immediately emerge, Gilly's going to look just do like a scan for danger to make sure that we're relatively safe where we're at.
Yeah. Good. Give us an awareness.
Whoa.
And what did we say? Spring? Is that what it was? I have it in my notes. I just start like scrolling all the way up. My
spring
document's
sounds
so
right
huge.
because we just did you.
Yeah.
So spring sounds right.
Well, and we intentionally waited till after winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Still
is
freezing cold up
just a
here, but it's
normal.
not winter. Normal success. Yeah, you look around. You don't see anything in the immediate area. There doesn't seem to be any of those wolves that you've seen stalking around sometimes. You haven't seen the cold drake at all. You don't see any immediate enemies around here. You do notice off to the west, like hidden beneath this haze of kind of gray clouds and mist and whatnot, snow and sleet. You do see that there are kind of lights like crackling in the sky, but it's hard to really determine exactly what that is. But nothing in the immediate area. Like you have some time, not a great deal of time. I would put up a tent or a campfire.
What time of day would it be once we emerge as well?
So that is a little hard to tell, as you never really see the sun within Angmar. You can really just see gray all around you. But I would say that Gilly probably has the wherewithal. It's evening, you think?
Okay.
I have a sunstone, if that'll help.
I don't know the sun. I think the sunstone is just glows, right? It's just for light, isn't it?
It's meant to navigate in bad weather, but it's like a translucent stone, so you can kind of see where the sun is when it's cloudy.
Yeah, so you can see then it's off to the west. So if you hold it up, you can see it sort of. It's not yet not yet in a setting position, but it's nearing.
Got it, but it's going. Okay.
Okay. So Tara goes over to Daggett, who is pretty busted up from the fight, I think. And I don't want to ask how you are. You took a few hits. You fought very well.
I'm feeling fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
The swelling on your face I must be misunderstanding what that means.
You must be. I feel fine. And I start like wiping some blood off my armor.
And Tara gives him a slap on the shoulder, maybe just a smidge too hard.
That
Just
was Yeah, I'm
mostly as a joke. Like, yeah, no, you seem fine.
Were you wounded?
That's it.
I was not wounded. I went down to 0 endurance.
And
now
then
I'm
came
back
back up to 1.
Was anyone wounded?
I don't think so. I think
Okay,
it was an
just
endurance
double
loss
checking.
all around. Yeah.
Okay.
Aurenial will help up the elves and make sure that they're kind of all situated. And she'll kind of look to see if anyone is going over to Balavan, and it doesn't look like anyone is.
The other elves are. Like, you can definitely see that these are all his friends, like Amdram and some of the others. Remember that there are other elves. We haven't named every single one of them, but they're all there. And even though they're disoriented, you can tell that like you can probably overhear some conversation between them. You hear like phrases like they're talking like as if a cloud has lifted in some ways. Like there's a clarity that they have regained in some ways. There's still an absence. There are gaps. You can tell that they are a few times, like you can see them reaching out, touching the ground, touching the rock, touching each other physically, just to kind of reassure themselves that they are where they're at. You hear them kind of next to Balavan, who is face just far away. He has to be reminded to stand up. He has to be reminded to step. He is just as depleted as can be. And you hear Amdarim speaking. It's like his fate has been called to the halls of Mandos, the halls of awaiting. You will be judged. Our friend was a complicated man, but I believe he was a good one. And you can see that as he says that, like he's got a hand on Balavan's shoulder, and like Balavan doesn't even reach up. He just sits there and stares. But the rest of the elves are kind of carefully taking care of the body. You would know as a ranger, and I would say probably everyone here would know, honestly. Gilly's a lore master. Floy and Daggett have been around a little while. Like, the ways in which that elves view the body and death, like it's two separate things, right? There's the body and there's the spirit. There's the Fea, there's Hra, and the body here it's not Sorendir so much anymore as his spirit is off. Still, one thing you would notice of Reniel is that even in this state, like there's no decay. Like, it doesn't look like Sorendir's body has suffered any kind of natural decay that a dead body might have. Like, he looks sickly. He looks as if he's been mistreated for a while, but it doesn't look as though that he's on the verge of causing any greater issues. And he also seems very, very light.
Gather yourselves. We'll head back to base.
You can see Amdrim kind of gets up and he kind of swirls his head a little bit, kind of like someone if you stand up a little too fast sometimes, and he kind of has that moment, but he quickly steadies himself and then motions for the rest of the elves to do so. And you can see two of them are taking ownership and care of Sorendir at that point. Like, they're lifting him up, they're wrapping him in some extra furs. And then another one, Amdrim included, are taking care of Balavan. They're like linking arms underneath his and pulling him up, and it takes like extra effort to get him to start walking, but eventually he does. He's not saying anything at all, not even to the elves. He's just lost.
So Tara's gonna respectfully go and maybe take a look at the body as well. What I would like to understand is the lack of decay. Is it because it's so freaking cold here that like organic processes just don't behave the same way? Or is there maybe a magical reason for...
Tara would know. It's because he's an elf. It just takes
Okay.
longer. It takes a
Okay.
much longer time.
Okay.
Is all it is.
So there's nothing nefarious about the lack of decay.
Yeah, I don't think that would pop up in Terra's head at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Not saying anything then. If there's
Yeah.
nothing to make note of.
Yeah. So everyone stands up. Floy, they kind of like the elves. They kind of look to you at this point. Like with every moment passing, they do seem better. Like you can tell. Like it's they were off, and then they just collapsed completely. And since you've set foot in Angmar, they've been half a step kind of slower than an elf might be. And even back to your time when you actually went to Forlon, there were moments when they looked like they were like some of them looked like they didn't know where they were. But here, like you can already see them beginning to sort of get some of their faculties back. So, but they're still nonetheless looking to you as you seem to be the one giving the orders.
And I'll just take point lead and lead us back to camp.
Okay. So if that's the case, we are going to dip back into our Angmar travel rules that we were using. So this is going to be same thing as before. The distance between Othringul and your staging ground is going to be a skill endeavor. It's going to be 6 is the difficulty. I'm reducing the time limit, however, by 1 just to account for the fact these elves are recovering. Balavan's kind of slow, and now you're carrying a body, so I don't think it's going to affect you guys too much. But basically, you need 6 successes and 3 chances before an encounter might spawn. So it just means you're moving a little more slowly. Is basically what's happening. And then you guys would need. So really, you're looking at a couple different skills that you can use. So Flo, if you're taking the lead, the main skills I'm looking for are athletics. If you're just sort of pushing using your raw strength and physicality. Explore if you're using more of like your wits to look for different paths and things like that to navigate the terrain, or stealth if you're just moving really slowly and quietly and you're not really caring about speed. So those are kind of the 3 skills I'm looking for. Which one do you want to use?
Go with that athletics then, since I have 4 pips.
Yeah, man. Give it a rip.
Nice.
15 is a pass. 1 success.
Okay. You will say that most of what you focus on, Floyd, is getting people back down the mountain. Othringul is not the peak of this range, and there are definitely higher peaks in the mountain range itself as well. But you all had to, for a short period of time, there was almost a sheer cliff that you had to climb. It was maybe 100 yards or so, but you still had to do it. So we'll say that most of what we see with Floy is just dwarven constitution, strength, not so much moving with great speed, but with moving with just this unrelenting pace. And you do manage to maybe take advantage of some of the ropes, the pythons and things like that you left, or like in the side of the mountain as you were climbing. And we'll say you all work your way back down towards essentially the foothills, the base of this mountain. Nonetheless, it's not quick. And Gilly and Daggett, you were concerned with the time of day, and Angmar gets darker at night. You can tell that the sun has probably gone down in the west. It's becoming a little bit more difficult to see. You also feel the coolness of the air, of the temperature drop significantly as the sun goes down. Even though you're not seeing it, as it doesn't peek through the clouds enough, it being gone itself has kind of caused the nighttime. So for those that can feel cold, for those who are affected by it, you are certainly feeling it now. And I would imagine you're probably exhausted too, after what went down within Othringul. Who wants to go next here? Who do we want to pick up the next stage of this?
I'd like to, if that's okay.
Yeah, man.
I can throw in support if that's helpful.
Yeah. We'll say.
Daggett has a completely opposite method of travel than Floy. Floy powers through, goes by brute force. Daggett isn't nearly as strong as Floy, and he is much more methodical about the paths he chooses and which way he tries to journey. So I'd like to do stealth.
Okay. It's
How
getting
many audience
darker
dice do we
too.
have?
You can hear the sounds of creatures in the sky. You can hear the howls of wolves and wargs in the distance. There, you are surrounded on all sides by threats. None are immediate, but you know that a slight slip might draw their attention. So, using the extra darkness, maybe, that comes with the sun going down, Daggett steps forward, Tara trailing behind as well.
That's a 23 over 15. Great success.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So you slow the path. You slow the party down a bit as Floy was moving at a fairly significant pace. Some of the climb was actually kind of difficult for the elves as they were negotiating Balavan, negotiating Sorendir's body. And by the time you got to the base of the foothills, like the sun had clearly gone down in the west and it was all darkness. And rather than camp in the cold, Daggett, you push forward. Maybe people are tired. Maybe the wounds and the exhaustion that had accrued over the course of your delve into Othringol is maybe contributing to the speed. But you do manage to find these small little crevices, these crannies in the rock here and there that get you out of the breeze and out of the cold whips and winds, the weird shadows that sometimes fly overhead, whatever they might be. Can't necessarily see all the way into some of these crannies. And you do manage for a few miles to kind of push people forward. At the same time, eventually those foothills flatten a little bit more, and you can see that extending out in a sort of a southwesternly fashion is a more flattened area. It's still got these jagged rips in the earth every now and then, but for the most part, it lacks the kind of protection that some of these paths that you have been using, Daggett, had been offering. Who would like to step up next?
Aurenial has been really bringing up the rear. So I'm imagining that Balavan is probably in the back of, kind of this procession of individuals, and she is even behind him, just,
Sure.
Really just kind of making sure that, his speed kind of keeps up as best with everyone else. And when he lags behind, that there isn't any ability for anything to kind of come up behind him. So she is going to see that things seem to have been okay and sort of leave kind of this post in the rear to kind of take over and do an explore. So she wants to kind of see if she can, kind of look ahead, see which direction we need to go, kind of plot out the path and the course.
Are the fallen elves usable as allies?
I would say no, they will be right now. I think mostly what they're doing is they're taking care of Sorendir so that you guys don't have to worry about it, and they're taking care of Balavan so you guys don't have to use it.
Gotcha.
But once you get back to camp, they'll once again, I think, be usable. Go ahead, Reniel. And I will say, Reniel, if you wanted to use any of those audience dice, now would be a good time too, as the clock is ticking on this one.
Okay. I will. So I did roll a Gandhi, but as of yet, no extra sixes.
Okay.
So I've got 3 in Explorer. I'm going to take the audience and roll one of them. And I still did not get an additional success.
Okay. It's very dark on these jagged plains. You're pushing forward. Daggett has stepped back a little bit, catching his breath. Floy as well. Maybe you guys are drinking and eating as you're going. You're kind of taking turns. Reniel, you move to the front a bit. Somebody else ventures into the back to cover the rear. You find yourself at one point navigating what you think might have once been a forest of some kind. You don't see these large trees left, but you see stumps, these frozen, almost petrified stumps all along the way. They had been long felled, you would imagine, for whatever purposes some of the surrounding fortresses and places within Angmar might have needed them. But they're just kind of frozen in place. They almost look like stones, boulders sticking up out of the ground. And there are dozens and dozens as far as the eye can see. Some of them are very tall. Some of them you almost mistake for these outcroppings of rock. And for a moment, you see up ahead in the sky this dark figure, darker than the night itself, just swooping past. And you kind of put your hand up, let everybody wait, and you're watching. And as you're watching that go past, you don't notice as this large ursine creature has crawled up on top of one of these stumps. And before anyone is able to shout out, it leaps down onto Auriniel as an ursine beast of Angmar has been triggered, and unfortunately has been triggered in kind of an ambush state. So this thing's going to leap down, and it's going to get an attack before you guys can react. Just one, not its full attack. Just one of its attacks. So it's going to leap down at Auriniel, because Auriniel, you're out front.
It's like I have my hand up trying to like get everyone to stop behind me, and then suddenly like my hand is being exactly like my hand is being attacked.
Okay. So that's going to be a hit because it's going to be 21. I am going to burn one of the 6s to boost my score so I can get a piercing blow on this. So this is going to end up being a total of 6 points of damage, but you're going to need to roll for injury as this thing leaps down, kind of with one of this massive paw, kind of knocks Auriniel to the side. She stumbles a bit. It doesn't quite fully pounce on top of her and pin her, but while she's stumbling, these massive jaws come snapping out in its direction, and it manages to actually sink and collapse those jaws onto one of Auriniel's arms. And I need you to roll your injury versus 14.
Oh, that's terrifying. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. I'm rolling armor.
Yeah, so you roll your protection roll D12 plus a number of D6s equal to whatever you have in armor.
I'll just roll this in the sheet.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a failure.
Okay. So this thing clamps down onto Auriniel's arm. And you can see this explosion, those of you that are closest to her, this explosion of blood just erupt from where her arm has now almost being consumed by this thing. You hear a sickening crunch. I think it's safe to say the wound probably goes, we'll call it your off arm, of course. But you do take a wound, in fact.
Holy
dear.
Let me see. I think I have. I'm going to spend. Actually, I don't even need to do it. I could have spent a hate to do an ill-favored roll, but I'm not going to do it. Go ahead and roll on the
wound table.
The wound table. Roll twice and take the worst. Okay.
So 6 days.
8 days is the worst. 8 days is the worst.
Oh yeah, sorry. That is how that works.
Okay.
Yes, 8 days is the worst.
So you all, those of you behind, it was just this thing somehow was just using the frozen stump of this forest to kind of hide itself, and has leapt onto Auriniel and crunched down on her. Now we'll actually move into proper initiative and stuff like that, so you all can get some actual fighting back. So
oh my goodness. And Auriniel is down to 5 endurance.
yeah, there were still 6 points.
Oh no.
So we've got, let me make sure I put everyone who's supposed to be on there.
Oh boy.
Out there. All right. And you have seen these before, Auriniel. You saw this in one of the crevices when you were fleeing when you were traversing the mountains with Marimben. You saw something very similar to this in the Blue Mountains that was harassing the Oathbreaker dwarves, Daggett's brother, and Rollin. Let's go into combat. Looks like Floy, Tara, Daggett, you all are in forward stance. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Auriniel,
I got 1 endurance. It'd be a waste not to.
absolutely. Auriniel,
Defensive.
you shift into defensive, and then Gilly, obviously, you slip back into range. I will say for this purpose. You have, we'll say, you do have the use of your elvish friends, your elvish allies. Obviously, Balavan won't be doing much, but you could probably, I would say, 2 boosts between the rest of them. So if anybody wants to use them, 2 boosts per round if they can charge into the fight. Forward stance, Floyd, Tara, Daggett. Who wants to go first?
I charge from the back ranks. Iridial!
Okay.
And just take a slash towards its cheek.
Go right ahead, man. They do not have any parry skills, so it's just flat.
Gripping her left arm as like blood is spurting out of it. And she's like trying to like
You managed to wrench
hold
it
tight
free.
on the wound.
Yeah, it doesn't fully seize you, but it did pierce, and so you wrench it free, and you can just see your left arm is kind of in tatters. How'd you do, Floy?
Do a nice little slash for 7 damage. Just a regular success.
Just 7 points of damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It roars in pain as the slash comes through. It whips its head around, blood dripping, chunks of the cloak and cloth and armor that Aurenia was wearing is kind of dripping down its chest. It's certainly a bear of some kind, but it has this hideous face. If you recall, there were moments at times where like the faces of these creatures kind of bore almost humanistic type quality to them. And this one is no different, though the massive rows and rows of teeth suggest otherwise. 7 points of damage done. Floyd's up there. Okay, Tara or Daggett also
Go ahead,
in
Tara.
forward stance.
Okay. That is a 19 to hit with 3 6s, but just 1 on the fate die.
Wow.
On the feat die.
That should still hit. Knowing your strength score, that should still hit. You've got 3 6s. I would say you could use those 6s for heavy blows to increase your
You said
damage.
one's on the feet die though. So
only the one on the feet die.
The one on the feet die, though, doesn't mean she fails.
Oh, a 1 on the feet die. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
thought she meant 1 6 on the feet die.
No,
Okay,
no.
I'm sorry.
No.
Still 19 to hit, and you got 3 bonus successes. So it's still a success with 3 6s to spend. So I mean, heavy blow if you want to do extra damage.
Yeah, please. That'll take it to 10.
So you've got a strength of 6, and so if you burn all 3 of those d6s, those bonus successes on heavy blows, that's 18 extra points.
Oh, sweet! Yes, yes.
Plus your 5 points of damage is a total of 23 points of damage.
Okay,
Wow.
please.
So as this thing turns its attention to Floy, you manage to get up with your spear and you just thrust it right into its side. You hear the sickening crunch of its bones as your spearhead manages to get in there and twist. You wrench it free, and you can see an explosion of gore. Okay, Daggett still up. I want to point out to both Daggett and Gilly, the elves are still usable if you wanted to use them. Actually, no, Daggett and Aurenial still gets to go. So Daggett, what are you up to?
I'm not going to use the elves because it would seem a little weird for Daggett to call on them. So I will take 2 audience dice though, because I do want more 6s.
Okay.
Totally. It would totally be weird if one member of this allied company calls upon another member of this allied company to assist them in the saving and protection of another member of this allied company. Yeah, it totally makes no sense.
He's been so
I'm
sassy
saying
with the elves.
It would make more sense for Aurenial and Gilly to use them.
Sure.
Okay. So that was 6 dice with the feet, not a single 6, but it was a success.
Okay. That's what you get.
So just my 7 damage.
All right. You guys are hacking away at this thing. You have not wounded it yet, though. It has a significant amount of endurance. You've done a lot of damage, but it has not gone down yet. It has not taken a wound. But you have now started to surround it. I'm going to say with everybody up there now, next round, if there is a next round, all of you that are in melee, you can take a bonus die for surround. It's a very big creature, so I wasn't necessarily giving it just for 2 or 3 people. But now that all 4 of you are up in there, then we'll say you can get it on the next round. Aurenial.
Okay, so this will come into play later, but I almost feel like, because Minozagar can be played as one-handed or two-handed, and
Sure.
I almost feel like it would be appropriate to play it one-handed, which drops
Yeah.
the injury rating just a little bit.
course.
So it's an injury rating of 16 instead of 18. To just keep that in mind.
We will keep it in mind if you manage to get a piercing blow. Swing away, though.
If it matters.
Yeah.
So she is going to, kind of like look at kind of all of the damage that's been kind of done to her hand, knowing that they still have a very long way to go and there's a lot left to do. Mm-hmm. And so she just kind of with her right hand just kind of grabs Minozagar and tries to see kind of what kind of just kind of a swing torque she can get, since she's not kind of wielding it with both hands like she's used to doing, and seeing how she can keep doing that. So I am going to roll another one. All right. That's a lolly and a 6 and another 6. So I've got an 8 on the D12 and a lolly and a 6 and a 6. And the other one was a 2, so I would ignore that.
I'm like Zach Galifianakis right now. There's just like numbers like just coursing around me right now.
So I have an 8 on my feet die. So I'm going to spend one of the 6s to make that a piercing blow.
Okay. So I'll have to roll against that 16 injury. What's the total damage as well? Give me the total damage before I bust out my protection dice.
So with one of the 6s, I'm going to use it as extra parry. And then, so it'll be just 1 6. So it's going to be a 5 plus 7, 12 more points. 12 damage, piercing blow.
All right. Even with all the slashing, this is a very sturdy bear, layers and layers. You're cutting through it. You can see there were already wounds on this creature of some variety, and you're adding a significant number on top of that, but it's still, this is a beast of Angmar, and it does not go down easy. Though I will now roll its protection against you. Said 16?
Yeah, because I dropped it to one-handed, so it's 16. Yep.
This creature does have thick hide, so I'm going to spend a hate then to gain extra dice on its protection roll. So it's going to make it, yeah. So that's going to be 29 on my protection roll with the extra. So you slash and stab kind of through. You're trying to almost get into its neck at one point, but the blade itself gets caught up. There's some bone and there's some skin, like heavy scar tissue by one of its shoulders, and you can't quite stab all the way through. You just feel the blade just suddenly stop, almost as like it's stabbing into stone. Gilly, what would you like to do?
Okay, so I'm going to shoot at it. I'm going to use both sets of elves since they weren't used. And then I'll take 2 audience die, Mel. Okay. There's so many die. Okay, so I have a 9, and I ignore you. You don't mean anything. You don't mean anything. What's his target number to hit?
No, there's no bonus parry, so it's just
okay.
against your. Yeah, it's just against yours.
So I hit, and I have 1 bonus 6.
Okay, what do you want to do with it?
So you will be rolling for a wound, and then that's going to be bonus damage, so 8 damage total.
8 damage. Okay. And it has so much endurance that it has still not reached its endurance threshold yet.
Oh my gosh.
I will burn another point of hate on this protection roll. Not as good, especially since that's a Gandhi, so let me get rid of that one. That's an 18 on my protection roll. How's that do?
Damn. My is 16 for what you need to pass.
Okay. So you see the arrow fly and manage to weave between some of your forward allies, and it sinks right into like the underbelly as it reaches back like it's going to sweep down again, and you catch it kind of in its sort of soft underbelly. But nonetheless, it still seems ready to rear up and go. So I'm going to take 2 attacks. Let's see. Who am I going to attack? I have 4 choices. Tara's getting 1, and Floy is getting 1. Okay.
Eek.
Floy, you're gonna get the bite. That's another Gandhi, but I did roll 2 6s. So 17 to hit. How's that do for Floy?
That hits.
All right. I got a Gandhi, though, so that sucks. And then against Terra, 15 against Terra.
Just misses. PR
Okay.
16.
So it manages to, like, as it drops, it's trying to sweep down with one of its arms, one of its claws. At Terra, you manage to deftly roll out of the way, but as it turns and follows, it's trying to get to Terra, but it sees Floy instead. Its massive maw opens and it clamps down on top of Floy. Floy, it's 24 points of damage.
Oh,
Holy fuck.
That's exactly my endurance, so I'll take a knockback.
Take a knockback.
holy
Okay.
shit.
You feel it snap. It nearly catches your arm, much like it did for Irinial, but you manage to sort of wrench it free just before the teeth sink into it. Nonetheless, there's this huge gash on your forearm, the inside of it, as you tumble away. Top of the new round, Floy, you're going to be recovering as your main action this round, but Terra, Daggett, and Irinial, what positions do you want to go into?
I'm not
Staying
moving.
defensive.
Yeah.
Okay. Gilly,
I'm
obviously, range still. Okay. Terra and Daggett, still forward stance. Rip it away.
Take it.
Tara,
Go
you did
ahead.
pretty good last time. Go ahead.
All of you take an extra bonus die on your attacks this round, those of you that are in
Thank you.
melee.
Cool. I'm also gonna use the elves. The quicker we can drop this fucker, the better.
And you see
Um,
Amthrim running up. He's got a very slender, curved, elvish blade. He's running up behind you, Terra. You can see he's almost like trying to blind it. He's like sweeping the blade around in the eyes of the Ursine beast. You can see some of Gilly's light is reflecting off of it. It's kind of causing this momentary distraction, trying to give you a hand to get a better attack.
That's an extra d6. Is that
As
right?
an extra d6, yeah.
Okay. And Mel, do you mind if I grab an audience size?
Go ahead.
Okay. That takes me. Oh, thank fuck. I took the extras because I'm worried. That's a 26 to hit with 1/6.
Okay.
And a 7 on the feet die.
Okay. Do you just want to do extra damage again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
All right.
get him down.
So as this thing is getting distracted by Amdrim's use of the light reflecting in the blade, you manage to get right where you last stabbed it with your spear, just maybe a foot to the right, and you do it again. You hear more of the ribs crunch as the whole left flank of this beast is beginning to crumble underneath your repeated attacks. Daggett, you are next up.
Daggett.
Oh, man,
is-
how much damage did you? I'm so sorry to interrupt, Steven.
It's your
How much damage did I end up doing?
weapon
11.
plus strength, so it should be 11.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Wait, is your spears two-handed?
Yes.
So then it would be 12, right?
Be 12, yeah.
Thank you.
Daggett is digging deep here. He's exhausted from Othrengol. It's late. He's tired, so he's just giving it everything he's got here. I'm taking one audience die.
Okay.
There we go. It's a 1 on the feet die, but I'm still hitting because I got 2 6s, 2 5s. Yeah, easily hit.
Okay.
So I'll just heavy blow twice. So that's going to be 7 times 3, 21.
Nice.
And if it has an ability of 10 or less, it's knocked back.
An attribute level of 10 or less?
Attribute level, yes, sorry.
It is, in fact, knocked back.
That
You
is
see.
wild.
Wow.
As the power of Block Fong seems somehow even more so here, as if like you can feel something in this Daggett. You can feel the weapon surging through you, like in a manner that you haven't felt before. It moves quicker, hits harder, and as you slide underneath it, you create this long incision, vertical incision, just slicing through. The bear rears back onto its 2 legs. It stands almost 10 feet tall when it does so and starts stumbling backwards into the stump and kind of crumbles down. Okay.
Hell yes.
Daggett probably should be scared at this newfound strength, but right now he's very thankful for it.
It's probably not ominous at all. It's probably good.
It's definitely the adrenaline, maybe.
Yeah, sentient
There's no
weapons that
cars
get
to lift
more
off
powerful, Angmar. It's probably fun.
Renal, you see this beast is sort of collapsed. It's getting back up. Like it's not out. It's not dead. It's just took a horrible blow, and you can see like the animalistic nature of it. Like for a moment, it's not the monster. For a moment, it's just the creature, as it's like almost shocked at how much at what just happened to it. But it's there's a moment for you to get a hit in before it kind of regains its footing. If you want to go ahead and do that.
Absolutely, Aurenia will attempt to do that. Oh, that is a much worse roll than the last one. And then
There's fewer numbers circulating around my head now.
That's wow. I actually have to math that. Right at 13 with a 6. So
13 to hit?
No. Never mind. Because I am weary, so those don't count. So no, it's a miss.
It's a miss. So maybe as you go to swing at it, it's just ill-timed, right? Like it's such a brutal hit by Daggett, but just fortune for the bear at this point, as your blow doesn't quite land as effectively. Gilly,
the
however,
dice had to balance out the
Sure.
6s last time. This one was the ones that don't count.
Gilly, you see this creature as it just sort of backed itself into this stump, and it's certainly disoriented. It looks to have suffered a wound. One whole side is just got all these little spear wounds that have just wrenched it free, and then it's bleeding from its belly. But as it looks like it's lost and looks like it's disoriented, you can see it's already gaining back like this great sense of anger, as if it's just like pooling from the earth. What do you want to do, Gilly?
I'm going to attempt to attack it again.
All right.
I'm going to use the remaining elves that we have.
Sure. And so you hear the very slight sound of bows being drawn beside you, and there's this small little grouping, one elf to the one side, another elf to the other. Neither of them Balavan or Amdrim, who is up there with Terra. But the three
Similar
of you,
to when we went on scouting, because we've
Yeah.
done this before. So we kind of fall into formation, and
you're just
Melee took
firing
an
away.
audience die.
And it's just, no one's really saying anything. It's just like this perfect rhythm of you drawing, arrow, loading, shooting, drawing, knocking, shooting over and over and over
Yep.
again. Some of them hit, some of them miss. Some of them hit in significant places, others not so much. But suddenly a rain of arrows come down on this creature.
Ignore. So I do hit.
Sure.
I have a 8 on my 10s die, so I want to spend one of my 6s to make it a 9 to roll for wound.
Gotcha.
And then 8 damage.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to use my thick hide ability again. Because why not? All right. That's a lot of 3s. 3, 6, 9, 17, 23, 25. So he's good on the wound, but he does still take the 8 points of damage. And there's now like 8, 9 arrows just sticking in various places as you and the elves are now peppering it. It is stunned. You can see it goes to get up. Its leg kind of crumples, but then it has to get up again. You see its massive, meaty claw grab the side of the tree stump and scrape down it and pulls it back up. As it looks around, bleeding from so many different places, it lets out this horrific snarl again. And it charges back at you. But that's its turn, as it needed, because of the knockback from Daggett, it needed to basically regain its footing. So that's its main action.
Yes.
We come to the new round. You all have wounded it significantly. A couple good rolls, and you can take it out. Floy is also back in the fight this round as well. And all of you in melee take an extra die for outnumbering it, as I'm presuming you're starting to swarm. Whatever order you all want, those of you in forward stance, start ripping it.
Get back on my feet.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
Floy.
want to change.
Take some practice swings at the air while I just pace towards it.
Do you do the load your forearms and you go charging in? God, there are many things Henry Cavill has brought into our world. I don't think there's anything better than that, though. Like,
Pretty good. It really is.
I love him. He's fantastic, but like that
Instead
is
of being
the
like-
best.
Welcome to the gun show. Welcome to the Floyd show.
It's the
A great
dumbest thing,
success.
but I love it. I love it so much. Okay.
So I'll have you blow for 14 damage.
Oh man, you come up, you got Kobar's cleaver, you nearly sever its head as you bury the cleaver right over the back of its head as it just flopped down and was getting ready to snarl and starts running up. You come from the flank as it knocked you, kind of took knockback, and it's not even seeing you as you come up and you leap up. The cleaver buries into the skin, but kind of takes you along for the ride as it doesn't quite go through that thick hide, kind of keeping it from completely losing its head. It's still up. This is a beast. But that is a good chunk of damage. So it's getting there. Tara or Daggett, as it's now amongst you.
Daggett, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not taking an audience die this time, but I'm still rolling 6. That's not as good. It is still a success with
Take your
a
bonus die for swarming.
21.
Okay.
My bonus die for what?
For how many of you are
For
up?
Remembering it.
outnumbered?
I already did, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
So just 1 success, 7 damage.
7 points. It's when it gets this momentum and it's coming at you. You don't necessarily have a spear. You just have you have a long axe, so it's not quite the same. But you do manage to deftly slide out of its forward charge and just cut it right along the side. And it is just creatures just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. Tara. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna take an audience die, Mel,
Okay.
to try and counteract the weary. And that is a miss, unfortunately. That's a 15.
Oh no.
No.
You go. I mean, I would say it's more of a you managed to stab it again, but you just find a chunk of it's such a huge creature. It's hard to miss, but you hit it. You hit it in a place. You hit it in a place where you just don't feel the spear pierce it in a way, and so it doesn't quite get through that thick hide.
I'd like to imagine there's a lot of bear gristle kind of on her face, and she just kind of misses a little. It's just
let's see. Irinial, protective. You're in defensive stance, but you can still, still head on in there.
So because I'm in defensive and because I'm swarming, that balances itself out.
And you can always,
Nice.
again, there are elves there for your help if you.
use the elves. I forgot to. What was it?
Take them because Keely can only take one of them. So
Fucking weary, man. Gotta balance those dice out.
yep.
Yeah, and I would say Iridial whiffed last time. And so I would say the look that she gives them is this very sort of shameful, I need your help. As she's whiffing and missing, she sort of makes eye contact with one of them and is kind of oh yeah, I'm gonna need some assistance.
Andrew looks at you with. I mean, he is impassive face, knows exactly what he's doing. He looks at your arm. He sees it. It's hanging limply, really, as you're kind of fighting with one arm. You're usually got the shield up, or usually are using two hands, one of the two. And you watch as he just kind of he runs up, he kind of grabs a tuft of fur and kind of leaps over, almost cartwheels over the top, getting the bear to kind of turn its head up and try to swipe at him, giving you an opportunity to swing at it.
Okay.
It is true, Thread Cat. They're missing out on all these achievements by using their allies. Oh, Ashley, that's totally got to be the episode title. Remind me of that. Drop that in our chat.
Hell yes.
This is from Two Olds.
Could also be Bear grilled us if he
I love it.
writing that down. How'd you do, Melissa?
Oh, No, I succeeded, but just a success. Like I need to I need to chunk some stuff.
All right.
So like I know I'm feeling like Floyd. I'm like, just a success.
Just
a
a
regular
six.
success.
What's
Although
your
since I
D12?
completely whiffed last time, it's a 7.
Okay, and you do have the increased range, but I think it only goes to 9 for you. And since do you know any bonus
Yeah.
successes? Okay, so
Nope.
total damage is what, 7? Is that your strength?
So total damage is the weapon damage.
Oh, sorry,
which
weapon
is
damage.
5.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, 5. Just
All right,
5.
this thing is slowed considerably. It looks on the verge of. It looks like a dying animal, and there is nothing more dangerous sometimes than a dying animal, Gilly. If this thing gets another turn, it might hurt someone really, really bad.
Okay.
So we turn to you, Gilly. Elves at your side.
Thanks for the pressure. Okay, so I
Arrows
got
loaded. The life of your dwarvish
all-
friends.
the elves.
All
Your
the
Rangers
audience
friends.
dice.
Give me 2 audience die.
If you let this thing go, it will kill both of the
No.
dwarves down there.
I can't. Okay,
Angmar will win.
stop. I'm spending.
I've already got one endurance. I'm
The
going down.
Breelands, the Shire, both your current and ancestral home will be overrun by shadow, Gilly.
Gillian
I have-
personally
Ian will be gone.
responsible for the sacking of the Shire.
Him and Tolman be taken into the depths of Karn Doom.
Blessed be thy lolly die. So, okay.
Amazing.
Ignore. Fuck all of these 2s.
Yep, they don't count for anything because we're all
Fuck
weary.
weary. Fuck weary.
Okay, I still
I know.
have. I spent so much extra for dice. So all of my extra die, I can't count them. They don't mean shit to me.
Yep.
But I did get a 10, so you're rolling for a wound, and I have 2 6s.
What's the total
Hell
damage?
yes.
I have more hate, so I'm gonna use more hate on my thick hide.
I'm gonna burn for
21 on my
wolf, so
protection
it's
roll.
12 damage.
Not gonna lie. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. That is not enough.
Fuck. Yeah, I can't get any more. That's like the highest damage I ever do. Is 12.
This thing has 24 arrows in it. It has holes in one side from spears. Its belly is pouring out from where Daggett slashed it across the underside. Its head has this huge chunk behind it where Floyd's cleaver nearly wrenched its head free. But in the last moment of violence, knowing that its life is at an end, as it is down to literally 2 endurance, it looks around,
And this is when it
roars.
kills us.
snarls with this unending amount of energy, and it will attack 2 of you. And I'm going to roll randomly to see who it is.
Come on, you
Tara
ugly
gets
bear.
one. Tara gets one again, and Daggett gets one. Tara and Daggett. Okay. So, since it's going to die, I am going to use some stuff. Because why not? Let's see. Tara. Start with you. Oh, that's interesting. I just remembered an ability it had.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
no.
pretty sure you didn't.
I totally forgot something it had. Oh my. Okay. Tara, you're in forward stance, right? Okay. Get an extra die.
Oh,
Not a great
Oh,
roll, but I still
dear.
think 16.
16 to my
Just
parry.
enough.
16 to my parry.
It's I don't have any bonus 6s, so it's just 6 damage. There's nothing fancy to it. Just 6 damage
Okay.
as it
Okay.
bites.
I'm weirdly still up. I have no business still being up, but I am.
Could knock back as well if you. do
Oh,
something
sweet.
You take
It's
half
true.
damage.
Good. Daggett, your turn.
Yeah.
You won't be able to attack next round though. So it's your
No,
call.
I'm not gonna do that then.
15, 17, 24, 25
You only
to
need
hit.
a
I have
15. You can stop counting.
no 6s, but I did roll a 10 on the feet die. So go ahead and roll for a piercing blow and take 6 points of endurance loss. As it's thrashing around
Yeah, I'm
violently.
gonna take knockback on that one and still
Okay.
go unconscious. I rolled a sorry
I am
on
yeah.
the
No.
protection roll.
I am going to say also roll that protection roll ill-favored as I will tap into its horrible strength.
I
So
already
you're-
rolled a sorry, so I can't get worse than that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, no.
Are you at
Uh,
that point?
That's
okay.
awful. Isn't
11,
that awful?
14, 17, 20 total with a sorry.
Okay.
I think sorry just means I automatically fail protection, though. I don't know.
No. I mean, you only automatically fail a roll if you roll a sorry when you are miserable.
Miserable.
So what was the injury I was going for?
Well, roll again because I am using I am using its horrible strength. So roll twice.
I
and
added
take
the other
worst.
12. I added the other D12. Or you wanted ill-favored, or you wanted 2 dice?
Yeah, I wanted
Ill-favored.
ill-favored. So you're taking the worst. So sorry. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. Okay. Okay. So you're not. If you're in the 20s, you're not. You're fine. Like you're not taking
Yeah,
an injury.
I rolled 20 exactly.
But you are knocked down again. So you're knocked out. Okay. So this thing is bleeding. It is. I've already revealed it's at 2 endurance, so we don't need to go through a full round of combat. Instead, though, as Daggett falls, Terra stumbles back. We've got Aurinial and Floy are still up front. We've got Gilly and the elves firing from behind. How do you finish off this creature? Because I imagine somebody will. So just describe for me how it happens. Let's be fun. Let's be
Floyd,
cinematic.
you got this?
Yeah, as it's distracted with Tyranneth and Daggett, its attention is off of me, so I get a free pop swing on it. I just aim for its hind
Yes.
legs.
Mm-hmm. So you bury the cleaver into its legs. You just see it immediately crumble as the massive weight of its body is not able to be withstood by these muscles that have been ripped in half. These tendons, everything just wrenched free from the swing of cleaver. It falls. It's still kind of thrashing around. Stab from Mingazar's Sword of the Spirits. We see a stab slash from Andrum. Arrows fly overhead from Gilly and the elves. And after a few extra moments, it finally comes to a rest. We look around. We see Daggett is nearby. He's breathing, but he has been knocked out. You also remember this was a lot of noise. That bear, howled and growled, and you guys were shouting at one another, swinging, screaming out in pain. And you are in the middle of a very dangerous trek of land. But Daggett is out. You are also kind of open, and you are not yet back to your camp. So it's the middle of the night. What do you guys want to do?
I've got Daggett.
Did he
Let's
take
get
a
out of here.
wound?
He did.
Mm-mm.
I did not.
Or it was Mel.
No,
that did.
he's just down.
Yeah.
Okay, Mel
yeah.
has the wound. Okay.
8 days for Mel. Keep track of that.
I have an hour to roll a test on it, right?
Yeah, you can reduce it if you want. If you want to do a quick one, yeah, we can do that before you leave.
Yeah, first aid.
Yeah, you can roll first aid, roll your healing test, and you can reduce the heal time.
Cool.
And I think what we may have been thinking earlier was it's the wound. If you're rolling on the wound severity and you roll a sorry, then you're dying.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
okay.
the bad thing.
I didn't use that one. I was running out of hate at that point. I couldn't use it all. I really can only use it for one thing. I just wanted to get him a wound. I didn't really care what kind.
Take 2 days off, Aurinial.
Sweet.
Okay, so
Down
it'll be
to
back up
6.
in 6. So less than a week, you will once again have full use of your arm. Okay, so we're going to then, because you essentially failed the skill endeavor, and that's what triggered this this encounter, we restart that skill endeavor. So this is going to be same thing. You guys are trying to get there. You're moving even more slowly now, though you are closer. So the time limit is going to, you have a better, more forgiving time limit. You've got Daggett, who's unconscious. Over an hour or so, he'll come back to consciousness, but immediately you're probably just quickly trying to get out of here as fast as you can. You know that, you're not entirely sure the range of that cold drake. You're not that far away from where you last saw it. You're within a half day's travel, so it could range out that far. So who's going to try to take the lead as you all are quickly moving away from this place. Gilly, I'll say you're tending to, actually, now that I think about it, Gilly, you're tending to Eryniel in the process. Floy, you're picking up Daggett. I mean, it sounds like it's Terra. I think at least for the first
yeah,
roll.
can I do athletics?
Athletics
still?
is perfect. Yeah, it's like getting everybody up and just moving, rushing, getting out of there
great.
before. Absolutely.
That is a 20 with 2 6s.
Oh, that's a hell of a start.
That's
Let's
a
see.
better start to this one.
What I missed it so badly the last time and it got Daggett killed. Sorry, Daggett.
So
Only a little killed.
Floy has Daggett kind of over his shoulders like he just killed a deer. You've got the elves are still carrying Valavan and Sorendir, moving them along. Gilly, you are kind of at Eryniel's side, trying to bandage her up and treat her as
we're running.
Terra is just move. And you manage to lead everyone through at high pace through the remainder of this like stump forest where all these old ancient frozen trees, you manage to kind of get through until you see a ridge line start to creep up a little bit and then tip down into a valley. As you're going down into that valley, you do hear the sounds of screeching, terrible distant screeching from behind. You're not sure exactly the origin of it, but it is from where you just came, and it's probably a good thing that you got out of there so quickly.
Does it sound like that Coldrake we heard before?
Could very well be that.
God damn it.
Just gonna keep pounding on you guys' head just in case.
Daggett was just passing wind on Floyd's shoulders. It's no big deal.
So once Terra leads you all into this mini valley after a ridge, you can take a breather. Everyone catches their breath. Daggett, you come back to. Eryniel, the bandage is now affixed. You all are much closer. You're starting to see some familiar terrain, even though it's very dark. I'll say at this point, we're nearing what would customarily be dawn. It's not quite there yet, but you can see Daggett on your sunstone. Like as you hold it up to the sky, there's a little bit of faint light starting to come as you hold it towards the Misty Mountains to the east. Who wants to take the next lead as you're trying to reach back to the camp?
I think Eryniel would. And it's the same. It's really just Terra set the pace and Eryniel is just keeping it up. Like we can't slow down. We've got to get there. We've got to go.
Okay.
So I'm imagining it's another athletics. It's just.
Yeah. So while Terra is like getting water, getting her breath back, Eryniel, you step up, arm not 100%, but no longer not risk of infection. It's bandaged well. It's not bleeding. It's still very painful, but you range out in front. The two of you doing what you were basically built to do, right? That's what you two are. Go ahead, Eryniel.
She's almost kind of using this wrapped cloth to kind of keep everyone's kind of attention up and at her. And I'm gonna. All right, I'm gonna need to roll one of these. Well, poop sticks.
While you're counting, do you guys just notice two old Twitch's comment in chat?
Yes.
There was a moment that the party was carrying two of the bodies of Steven's characters.
I'm really good at what I do, and what I do is die.
Oh god, it's really funny because you're always like, I die all the time, and then I'm like, hey, here's this magical item. No, I'm gonna give it away. Like, here are these NPCs that you can use to help you. Nah, I don't really want to help. I don't want their help. Oh crap, I'm dead again. That's interesting. I feel like we're seeing some logical connections.
I like to play it
there.
risky.
For the
I like to
drop.
play it risky.
You like to play it risky. No, can I get like 5 of those dice to get a favorite?
I don't want the audience to feel like we don't appreciate that.
That's fair.
Oh my god.
So I rolled a 10 and a sorry, which since I'm rolling it at favor means that I'm taking the 10 instead of the
Absolutely.
Sauron.
Yep, if
Correct.
you're rolling it a
Yep.
favorite.
Yeah. So that puts me at a 15 over 13. So I passed the athletics with no additional successes.
No addition. Hey, it's still progress. I mean, again, it's dangerous, Drawers. I'm trying to make Angmar feel dangerous as you traversing,
It
especially
is
since
dangerous.
it's more populated
Yeah.
than when you were last here. You can tell there is an increase in patrols and creatures and orcs and trolls, everything kind of moving about. Like, it's definitely a more active place. The idea, the very title of this campaign, The Waking of Angmar, is it's coming back to what it once was. You push further. It's hard. It's nighttime. It's very dark. Another couple hours pass. At a certain point, Daggett, you hold the sunstone up and you can see that morning has come. The gray clouds above aren't so charcoal anymore. They're more kind of a middling gray. The cold winds that were so prevalent at night are a little bit more bearable in the morning. And you kind of get closer. Again, you're seeing familiar terrain. Bearable. Anybody? Bearable. Get it? Bearable.
Got it.
Okay. Who wants to try to who takes this, hopefully the last leg? You need 2 more successes as you're trying to figure out the best path forward. You're seeing these jagged shifts in the rock and the terrain that look familiar. It's not like debris
Gilly
lands.
would attempt at this point. She'll do a stealth roll, like try and not drag as much attention just in case there are patrols, since it is more morning.
And in case you're being followed, you're trying to hide where your camp is, for sure. Yeah, go right ahead, Gilly. That sounds good. Everyone, I would imagine, is exhausted. You guys haven't slept.
Yeah.
So you climbed a
I got
mountain.
napping.
You climbed a mountain.
Can I have 2 Daimo?
Descended into Othringol, had horrific fights, climbed back down a mountain, haven't slept, fought this giant bear, went through emotional trauma of for some of you, losing an old friend.
My hands are here.
So I would imagine you're in. Oh, here we go.
You don't believe me.
This is what you just set the roll up beforehand. That's all you do. You think I don't know the tricks? I do the same thing in Forbidden Lands all the time. Come on. How'd you do, Ashley? I believe you.
Extraordinary.
All right.
Look at it.
Gilly, you slow everyone down now that it's a little bit brighter. And you start weaving through some of these ridge lines until you see a very familiar sight. This kind of crooked tree kind of off on its side. No vegetation on it, just these gnarled hands that you know is sort of the signifier of it. You move over top of this ridgeline. You look back. You carefully kind of cover up some of your tracks, kind of point people down this little, almost like a goat path, really. And then you can smell it before you can see it. You can smell smoke, fire, and then you hear a small crunch, and you see standing behind you, Gilly, with a smile, but a very grim one on his face. You're not sure if it's Elro here or Eladin, but it's one of the elves of Rivendell.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear one of them, whichever one it is. You are very quiet, Miss Kettlegrass. I did not hear you until you were very close indeed. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. We're
There's-
exhausted.
Come.
How have things been?
Well, there are some stories to tell. And he looks over your shoulder in the direction of where everybody else is coming down the ridgeline as well. He sees the elves. He sees the body of Sorendir. You see his face, that little flicker of a smile, completely gone. And you see it's replaced by this sudden sadness as his eyes kind of droop. He gives that Legolas look. And I see you have stories to tell as well. Come. And you all have once again reached camp. You can see spread out before you, hidden in this little hollow, is the entirety of your forces to some degree. But before we get into that, let's actually do the mechanical roll, and so we can see who is actually there and what condition they are in, as we have a couple rolls to do. So, who wants to do them? There's 3 rolls that we need to make. And I want you all to make them. We'll do it in the system, so you can just add them into the add up in the system is fine. Let me switch some stuff. Yeah, we want that one. Okay. So who wants to roll for? Who do I got up first? Who wants to roll for the Oathbreaker? Oh no, let's do that one. Yeah, we can do that now. Oathbreakers and Rangers. You sent them to scout Moramin Taras. Moramin Taras was as far as you know, the home base of the Rudauer hill folk that's now being led by Braddock, this kind of cruel leader who has taken over after the death of Lottie. Who would like to roll for that?
I feel like Steven should roll for that.
No, I feel like Renial in the Rangers. I'm not taking credit for them dying.
If no one rolls, it's a 0, and that's a fail. So,
Okay. What's the roll?
all right. Melissa, you're rolling 1d12 and 4d6s. So 1d12 plus 4d6. And all you need to do is hit a 15. Easy peasy.
Hell yes.
Easy peasy. Oh, I see she's rolling physically. Look at her. I said roll in the system, and she's rolling physically.
Sorry.
Didn't we pay
sorry.
to give them favored so she can roll?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
I'm good.
Yeah, you can roll a favored. Yeah. Good call.
It's okay. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Okay.
I'll roll it favored. Still 22.
As you're coming down the ridge, you look up and you can see that you see the familiar face and visage, the clothing of Lady Erisil and her various rangers. You see that they are actually at camp with some of the Oathbreaker dwarves. You see Rollin, the leader. You see Snagit, Daggett's brother. They are all there. They look a little harried, much like yourselves, but you start doing some quick counting, and they all seem to actually be there. A little sigh of relief maybe comes. Daggett, you can see when Snagit sees you coming down, he stands up. He gives you like a big wave, and he motions to what looks like a rock sitting next to him. "We have food, brother, and well, they call this ale, but it's better than nothing."
Daggett will slowly start shuffling over there. He's still pretty tired.
Then we've got the Rivendell elves, Elrohir and Eladin. I need somebody to roll 1d12. I don't have an asterisk by this one, so I don't know if you guys paid. I have asterisk by the other two, so I don't know if you guys paid for favorite on this one. So 1d12.
We just paid for the extra die.
1d12 plus 3d6. So who wants to roll just for the defensive camp?
I'll roll.
Give it a rip. Target number of 12. Everyone, they don't even listen to me. I say rolling system, and everyone just rolls.
Oh,
no, it's fine.
I'll do it.
No,
I'm fine.
It's fine.
Sorry. I was gifting sub in chat, and I missed that.
So here's my D12.
Uh-oh. That's not good. A 4 to start.
Oh, shit. And
Oh, no.
Why is it it's showing up on my name for some reason, but I'm not
She's clicking
rolling.
the wrong thing.
Okay. Just
The target number was 12. You rolled a 10 in total. And so as you start coming down this ridgeline, you as you were talking to one of the two, Gilly, you hear him, "My brother, Eladin, is quite injured. There was a group of trolls led by some strange orc that were passing by. They did not discover the camp, but they did discover my brother, and he took a terrible wound. I am fearful that he will not be aiding us in the foreseeable future."
But is he stable?
He is stable. Some of my mother's knowledge of healing is passed down. Curador, he too suffered a grave injury. Cannot lift his sword. However, I ensured that they would not discover our camp, and I led them astray. They were fierce, these trolls. Fiercer than I'd ever seen squat. More so than some I've encountered down in the troll shores. But they seem
They've
to
been
native to this
experimenting
place.
on them.
Perhaps so. I think it more they are familiar with the ice. I think they might be snow trolls from the Forward Waith. But they are being led by a cruel and pale orc with a long whip that seemed to just push them forward, and for some reason the trolls, their spirits broken perhaps, or their dull-wittedness, seem to have given over to the machinations of this creature.
Did you catch was it a named orc?
We did not converse, Miss Kettlegrass.
Sometimes they shout. I understand, but I thank you for keeping our base safe.
It's not common they shout their names. No, it's not. I'm sorry. However, I led them astray. I followed them as long as I could. I did notice, however, very curiously, that once they gave up the chase and they started to venture back northwestward, they did not seem to go towards the tower, Kellic. That seemed to be the most direct route to Khandum. They ventured more northward. The mountains themselves, just an inefficient path. Orcs might not be the most intelligent of creatures, but this one was shrewd. I do not think it would risk these trolls going against it in difficult terrain. I wonder if there's perhaps somewhere north of here that they are taking them, some other location of interest to our enemy.
May become an additional concern.
Yes. So what this means is that next round, you failed with the Rivendell Elves, so that's a fail. So I got the rules up here. Remember, where are they? Angmar rules. Oh wait, that's travel. Hang on, where did they go? Where are my rules?
I am also
NPC allies. Okay, so basically, if the roll does not meet the target number, the task fails. You get no benefit, but there's no casualties, so no one died. They just got injured or additional complications. So there is the potential that they might know this location. They didn't necessarily find the camp, but they certainly found and know that there are elves at the very least within Angmar, which, and then the enemy got away. This orc, these trolls, they got away. And so they're aware at the very least that there are elves, at least in this area. So whatever that might mean. And then finally, who would like to do for the difficult one? You all sent the Dunland Dwarves, so that's Thorvum and Thebe, and the Tharbad Wardens, so that's Tharnau. You sent them to sabotage, not just scout, but sabotage Mount Grom. You gave, you're going to roll a d12 twice, so you're going to roll favored, 5 d6s versus target number of 18.
Okay.
I roll so badly. Someone else, please
All right.
roll.
Long, you
I will
got
do
this?
the honors. Yeah. Return to camp.
Do it, Long.
Scanning for the dwarves and the Tharbad men.
Looking for Thorvum
Hell
and Thebe, yeah, for
yes.
sure. Looking for Titus as well.
Oh my god, amazing.
If
Die 5d6.
am I a terrible person that I'm kind of rooting for like a disaster of a roll? Is that wrong?
No.
Kind of rooting for that.
Oh,
Just the
we will
bodies
be.
of everyone you guys like. Thorvum, dead body. Thebe, dead body.
It's a Gandy,
Tight.
great success.
It's a
18 meets it.
Candy.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Look at this guy.
Amazing. Floyd, I'm so glad. Floyd, I'm so glad Long rolled.
Long is so reliable.
Floyd, you do in fact see Thorvum and Thebe and all of the other dwarves, the crafter dwarves from the Dunlands, not Blue Mountain dwarves, but you've met them, you become friends with them. You also see them kind of huddle around the small. They seem to have bonded a bit with those from Tharbad. You can see the familiar Tharbad wardens in their kind of almost bandit-like attire. Tharnau, helmet off, hair is a little bit oily and wet, but you can see he is nonetheless unharmed. You can also see Titus is cooking away over top of a pot and a stew. And they look up, and you can see Phoebe's eyes grow wide, Thorvum's eyes as well. And they're like, "Cousin, oh, it's good to see you. Oh, goodness, you look terrible."
You're back before us, and you seem well.
Just a few goblins, not a problem for us at all. And they all kind of laugh as there's like some sort of inside joke as they start kind of looking at one another. And even the wardens from Tharbin, these are people who like not that long ago were almost at odds, like Tharnau and Thorvum, Phoebe, but suddenly like circumstances, and they're laughing now and sharing no wounds. Everyone seems to be in great condition.
So great.
You just hear Tharnau just call out, "Oh, Master Floyd, they were just goblins after all. They fancied themselves engineers and architects, built a city within a mountain. All you need to do is just pull out one of the legs, and it all comes crumbling down." And they all kind of laugh at that here and there. And they're kind of very, very excited. Tarnell kind of spies over. Is Lady Tereneth with you? He's kind of like looking around here and there, like almost sheepishly, like almost embarrassed to ask.
Yes, she's around.
Pleases me to hear it. We have news to report as well, Master Floyd. We not only managed to put a wrench into the plans of this this self-styled master of goblins, calls himself Fogel. We managed to capture a few of the outriders. They gave up the name. I'm not sure if we've managed to kill them, but we did destroy a significant chunk of its city, and many of them crumbled beneath the wreck. But those outriders, we discovered another place, slightly north of Mount Grom itself, the ruins of some old fortress. One of the elves called it Dolgoeth, whatever that means. But it seems as though that is where they are training most of their beasts. We saw a significant number of these white wolves and bears of hideous nature. I've heard of bears. I've read tales of them. We have not any of them near Tharbad, of course, but we heard from some of the testimony of those we interrogated that is where they are doing the training of beast. Where they are getting this beast from, I'm not entirely sure. And at once, and you can see his face kind of goes a little pale. And at one point we saw another creature. I swear, it was a dragon, Master Floyd. Wide wings. Almost metallic scales, eyes, large and icy. I don't know if they were trying to control it, but it fed on a few of those creatures that they had penned up within the ruins.
I think one of ours saw it too.
Well, it did not see us. We managed to get in and out quite quickly. These dwarves, I'll tell you, they master craftsmen they might be, but they are they can take things apart and do so quietly, just as well as they can put things together. And you hear just like all of them just raise like yeah, and like they all kind of like raise these glasses. But then like Phoebe is like, "Quiet, you idiots! We're hiding here. What's wrong with you?" And they go, here," very quietly. So
I knew I could trust you with this. I'm going to hear from the others.
Of course. So all of you, you start mingling back together. Lady Eris still comes to greet a few of you, and you can see some of the other leaders from the different groups. Elro here coming and kind of talking around. Eladin is okay. He's like limping, and Kurador, the other elves from Rivendell, are kind of moving. Many of the elves now, both the Rivendell elves and the Forlon elves, are kind of coming together. They're talking a bit. They're looking at Balavan. They seem very concerned. Strangely enough, there's less concern about Sorendir at this point. And there's a little bit more concern at this right now about Balavan, as he just seems like wasting, and like you hear that word like fading and wasting and all those types of those verbs. You notice that Lady Aracel and some of the Tharbad wardens are talking here and there, and the rangers, and you hear when they approach, we'll say, Aurinial and Terra and Daggett, when you talk to Snagit as well, they'll tell you, we ventured to Moramin Terras. This is like Snagit talking, and they've got an army, all right. An army of hill folk, they call it. Tall, very tall, taller than you. Kind of nods at Aurinial, taller than you, Terra, almost as tall as that fellow over there cooking with the folks from Tharbad. All very large. Whatever they feed these folk here, they are much bigger than the Breelanders that we normally encounter. Anyhow, the castle, it sits atop a rocky edifice. Overlooks this short cliff. Very difficult to access. There's a single ramp up until the castle itself. It certainly seems that they have been effecting repairs. They are humans, though, brother, so I doubt their repairs are as effective as those of a dwarf. And at one point, as we were keeping ourselves hidden, we saw a host of orcs approach the castle. Goblins on wargs, a troll or two being carried around, dragged, it seems, by a chain. Now, the hill folk, they seem to be allies. They do. But this Braddock fellow, he would not let them in the castle. So there are limits, it seems. However, he did lead a small group outside the walls. There was a meeting of sorts. This Braddock rode atop a great ursine beast. And he kind of looks at the rest of the Oathbreakers, much like the one we buried in the shaft within our home. He seemed to ride it and listen to his commands. He had others with him. They rode horses, thick horses. But there's a conversation, a treat of some kind. We could not get too close to hear it, but there was great agitation. We could read their body language at least. And after some time, the meeting ended, the orcs never setting foot inside the castle. And then they left. The host was perhaps 100 strong. Mostly orcs. Braddock's forces, harder to get a number of. They stayed within the walls mostly, and they guarded well. Round the clock. Morning, night, day. There's always a group of people, various watch points across the towers of the castle itself. However, we do think, and he kind of looks at some of the dwarves, and he looks at some of the rangers, and Lady Aracel is kind of like shaking her head. Some of us think. He just kind of like rolls past it. We do think we might have found a way inside. Up that cliff. About, 100 yards. We saw a cave, a ledge. You think perhaps there might be catacombs or dungeons of some kind beneath the castle. It's possible we were able to climb that cliff. And Lady Arrows was like, it's a vertical climb. 2 of the watchtowers would be able to see us for the entirety of that climb, and although their bows and arrows be a difficult shot, it would not be an impossible one if they are half the archers that my rangers are, and I would think that they are very least half. So while yes, it might get us into the keep, the question is whether we can reach it without being obliterated by their archers. And you can see there's a little bit there's less like there's definitely disagreement over like what they saw, but that's essentially what they tell you, Daggett and Tara and Ari and whoever else is sitting at that group.
If there's no love lost between these two hosts, perhaps we could turn them against each other. Brother, did you see any foraging parties, any patrols that would ever leave the castle?
Indeed, yes, they did. Most ventured southward. It seems as though the game is not as abundant in Angmar, but they would be gone for a few days and return.
And you guys will say like this whole thing has probably taken like maybe a week's worth of time between travel there, venturing into Othran Gold. We don't have to get too precise with the dates,
but they were gone for one night, perhaps two. They returned with several kills, and there are smaller groups that leave. There is a stream at the base of the castle. It falls over the side, creates a very slender waterfall. So we did see, yes.
I'll need some time to formulate a plan, but I believe I have something. Perhaps we could use them against each other and weaken them both at the same time. I'll need to speak to a few of the captains here and find consensus, of course.
As you wish, brother. We are at your disposal.
You did good work.
Thank you. You look... Well, I've seen you in better condition. You look as though a dog has used you as a chew toy.
You're not far off, but I have also been in worse condition, so I can't complain too much.
Well, get some food in you and let us prepare next steps.
So what we see then, no significant casualties, meaning like your factions are still functional. Your Rivendell elves took some wounds, but they might have given up the location of the camp. It's hard to tell. But they, at the very least, you guys are still here. No one's coming, but they did at least reveal themselves. So there are some scouting parties or whatever that know that elves are at least afoot in Angmar. You all were successful. Everybody was who you sent on like scouting trips. So what I'm going to open up for you is one of the things that the Tharbad and Dunland dwarves mentioned. You guys did discover a new location as part of what they did. The ruins of Dulgueth, which is off to the east, which I'm opening up on your map now.
Yes.
And you did hear from Elrohir that due north from the base, it seemed that's where the troll driver, which you all, those of you, Floy, Gilly, and Eriniel, you all would, once you hear the description, a pale, lithe orc driving with a whip, all of these trolls, that was one of Rotag's lieutenants when you first ventured here. Mm-hmm. But there seems to be the potential for something north in the mountains. Otherwise, it makes no sense for them to go in that direction. So, because if they were going to Othran, there's a much simpler and more direct path. If they were going to Kelekdur, the tower, or even Karn Dûm itself, again, simpler paths. But they did not take the simple path. They were moving in the sort of the foothills north. You don't necessarily know what it is, but you do know there might be something more to the north. So I'll turn it over to you guys. You guys have time. You can do some RP. You can do some strategy. Kind of talk amongst yourselves, talk amongst the NPCs, and try to figure out like what's the next steps here.
I've got an idea. I don't think our Tharbad friends will go for it, but I think Taraneth could possibly convince Tharnau. We could ambush some of the hillfolk patrols and take their clothing and equipment and dress some of our very muscular Tharbad men in it. I know they wouldn't appreciate that. But and then they could go and ambush some orcs and foment some trouble.
That could be really cool.
If Tara could convince Tharnau to go for it.
I
Do
think we
appreciate the
should.
deception.
we should definitely ask. Before that though, I had a more mechanical question. Is the wound kind of stuff that Elru here is or the Rivendell elves are contending with, like, is that something Gilly can do something about?
Sure. Yeah. You can tend to them. They're not wounds in the sense where they're life threatening, but they're much like Aurenials, basically, where like they took a wound and it's just going to kind of slow them down a bit, that kind of thing. But it's not going to be something that's going to kill them. But yeah, you're welcome to do that.
Which that's definitely something Gilly would have done once all the elves like congregated together.
With regard to do we want to resolve that with rolls first, or do we want to like?
I think we're all just doing our initial, what do we do when everybody's first
Okay.
together?
Yeah.
So you can.
None of this has to
Okay.
be like any particular order. Like we could say,
Okay.
we can be really loose with this time at camp. Like basically before you guys.
Okay.
Once you guys leave, we'll start tracking. But right now at camp, we can do this whenever order you want.
Okay. Because what I would like from an RP perspective is actually that Tara has been very pointedly avoiding Tharnau for a little while, and when Daggett kind of broaches this with her and says that we should talk to the Tharbad folks. Maybe Tharno at this. Like, she looks like very uncomfortable.
And
it's like,
when I'm with the group saying we should talk to them, I'm looking Tara directly in the eyes.
No subtlety there.
yeah, no, we can talk to them. That's fine. I'll talk to them.
Good, it's settled then. Will you go now?
Sure.
Daggett is like loops an arm, drags.
I give her a little shove out of the circle.
And yeah, no, Tara has been just very not discreetly avoiding burnout, and he's probably even noticed at this point. But I think she's sort of uncomfortably will go to him. I've forgotten the name. Stephen, you just mentioned where the hill folk are. Like, what was that location?
Moramin Taras?
I
think I'm saying that right.
Terras.
Moramin.
And that's where the hill folk are.
Yeah, and the orcs that they met with, we think they're from Mount Grom or Kelekdor.
That was probably something they're not sure of. They definitely weren't from Mount Grom. That would be a relatively long distance, so it makes sense that they're either Carn Doom or Kelekdor.
Did they say that they saw trolls with them as well?
They did see. They did say that there was at least one troll being led. As usual, like a siege weapon or something.
So we could. Only one troll makes me think that it could be either faction or they may be controlled by the same people. If there were multiple trolls, I would think they came from the ruins.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll need to figure out. We'll need to send a group to attack a patrol, and while we do that, we can send other groups to recon to try and figure out which orcs are likely to attack back.
I believe we also decided when we were making our first attempts that we would not send anyone to Kelekdor. So we are still without any information as to the goings on there.
Very true.
Right.
We are finding ourselves increasingly surrounded. It would be good to keep several of them busy with each other so that we can focus on other tasks.
I do agree with the wisdom there. Irenial looks around to see if Tara has left.
Tara is kind of hemming and hawing, but once she realizes that she can't put it off anymore, she will get up and go.
We close the gap in the circle, so she's just like a couple steps behind us now.
She'll go find Darno.
Who is sitting down amongst his wardens and some of the dwarves, the Dunlin dwarves. He quickly gets up. You even hear Tara, and you probably notice like a couple of the dwarves and the other Tharbad folks are like, and like Tharbad like kind of, or Tharnau looks over towards you, and he quickly gets up. Everyone kind of knows what's going on, and you see suddenly everybody there is conversing with one another. They kind of turn and they're kind of talking to each other. Everyone's kind of looking in different directions. Except for Titus, who's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And then Tharnau gets up and comes over to you, and he says, I'm pleased to see that you are right, Lady Terneth.
Yes, and she looks very uncomfortable. It's like, there's some planning that I wanted to speak with you about.
Of course.
Is there somewhere we can have that discussion?
Yes. And he kind of leads you away. It's a very tight camp, but you guys find like a little nook near one of like this outcropping of rocks. So you're kind of like hidden around next to it, out of earshot of everybody.
Seeing that there is no privacy, Tara's even more uncomfortable, and and she's like, and just lots of hemming and hawing and visible discomfort, and
Shall I fetch Miss Kettlegrass? Are you well?
No, I'm. This is fine.
That's the last person Tara wants staring her down.
Daggett mentioned something very interesting. It will require you and your men to behave in a way that perhaps it may not be something you're used to, but if your subterfuge in yourself in this last attempt was any indication of what you were capable of, you will probably be able to do this without difficulty. But Daggett had the very excellent idea that you and your men might be able to infiltrate the hill folk at Mormin Talas, and if you are able to get their armor and their weaponry and perhaps some of their clothing even, you might be able to pose as them and cause some damage from the inside.
You can see as he starts to like scratch what is like, he's got a little beard that's starting now. You know, like it's people haven't really had, so he's kind of starting to scratch a little bit, and you see his eyebrows kind of. No, Master Daggett is a very shrewd captain. He,
yes.
It is interesting. He has shown a surprising amount of strategy for a man who walked into a warden-controlled bar and picked a fight with wardens. He has a curious way about him. But no, this sounds like a very fascinating plan. Dangerous? Of course. But if it is your wish, we will see it done.
It is not my wish. It is just a very good plan.
If
everybody thinks is a wonderful idea, it will help the company, and
then we will see it done. Tharbad will see it done.
That is excellent, and this should have nothing to do with any kind of special dispensation or anything like that. and she doesn't quite know
Almost looks
what
like
to say and
a little
turns
bit-
completely red.
He almost looks like a touch like offended at it. Of course not, Lady Tara. We are part of the company. We understand our role. Master Daggett is a skilled captain and apparently tactician. We understand when we accepted this venture that this would be dangerous. We accept
And
it.
she kind
Again.
of breathes a sigh of relief at that, and I'm sorry, Thorno. I have been avoiding you, and it is because I have seen something I did not expect to see, and I am concerned it might happen again.
What did
But
you see?
perhaps I can tell you later, but for now I think I just need you to make me a promise.
I will try, but what is it you wish me to promise?
If something happens to me, and
Nothing is going to happen to you. I have seen those that you travel with. They are quite fearsome.
something happened to Sorendir anyway. But if something were to happen to me, you need to not go looking.
He looks very confused. He's, oh dear, yes, the elf. I have heard. It sounds very tragic, heartbreaking. If something should befall you, Lady Tara, and I do not believe it will, but if something should befall you, then I shall mourn you. I shall tell tales of your bravery and your beauty. And I shall live a life with a broken heart. But I will do nothing reckless and nothing that would injure the possible success of our venture here.
Not knowing what to say, Tara takes his hand and sort of steps closer to him. I thought Sorendir was simply an ally in arms to Balavan, but I do not think that is the case. I think there was more. And Balavan, I cannot have you. What is happening to Balavan cannot happen to you because of me.
He gets fairly bold for a moment as you step closer, and he kind of reaches his other hand up and he kind of removes something from your hair, or like some piece of tuft of, and he just kind of, and he will say, "It's kind of you to worry about me. But rest assured, we will succeed here, and these are all worries that many years from now, we will look back and realize were needless."
Thank you for listening to me.
So we'll kind of fade out as like the two of them are hidden behind that rock still. No one knows what happens behind there. As we fade out from there to the rest of the camp. Sometime later, obviously, you know, you'll hear Daggett and Floyd and whatever about like their willingness to do this task if that's the desire of the group. But we'll what is everybody else doing? Anybody have any scenes or ideas or strategy, anything like that? Doesn't matter, whatever you want, whether it's in character, out of character. I don't really care which way.
Oh, so we take a couple of groups here. We'll move these guys there. Alternate, you back.
Just so subtle.
I love that. I love it so much.
But I'm pretty much just plotting the next course of action.
Okay. Okay. So we've got. So you still got your allies. Don't forget. So the allies that you get to task, and plus yourselves. So what do you guys want to do next? So you've got your rangers. You've got the 4 Lond elves, minus Balavan, who will remain behind with whoever you leave back if you decide to leave back, or they can just take him and deal with him. The Rivendell elves, the Dunland dwarves, the Oathbreaker dwarves, and the Tharbad wardens. Those are who you have to assign. You have yourselves to assign. You've discovered that they're the ruins of Dol Gul'Eth, where it seems as though many of these wargs for warg riders and beasts, or assigned beasts for beast riders, are off to the east. You've heard of a theorized spot in the mountains to the north, east of Carn Dûm, northwest of Othrungol, where you saw some of those trolls heading off to, but you don't necessarily know for sure what's up there. You've got Kellic Dor, the tower, the kind of watchtower that guards the path to the tundra that leads to Carn Dûm that hasn't been scouted. Othrungol, you're pretty sure you have finished. Mount Graham, you succeeded in sabotaging, so whatever goblins might have survived, they are significantly lessened. So I would say, just for the sake of checklists, Othrungol and Mount Graham feel fairly like you probably would feel fairly confident you've done your business there. But you have these sort of 4 other locations, and Carn Dûm itself as well. So what do you all want to do? And what do you want your allies to do?
My basic thoughts is, now we have 6 groups of allies. We could divide them into 3 groups, so they're always paired with someone to give them better chances.
I love
and then
that.
we can go our own way and have 4 different locations attacked at once.
What do we need to do mechanically to get our endurance up during this time
you'll get
as well,
rest.
to be
So
able to do that?
Yeah, so you'll get rest. So you're basically you'll be able to do prolonged rests now that you're back at camp. If you do prolonged rests, and you can do that for as many days as you guys want to commit to that. So how many days would you guys want to commit to resting here before you head back out? Let's put it that way. Because
Ari, what's your wound at? 8 days now?
It's 6.
It's 6 days, so I will be low on endurance because you can't recover more than the
I would say
small amount of endurance until the wound is gone.
You can take it to 5 for the travel back. You can take it down to 5 since it was sort of before dawn. Like, you guys fought the bear in the middle of the night, and then at this point it's late in the day on the following day. So you can take it down to 5.
Awesome.
So we'll be
I
leaving
really
before
like
that.
Steven's idea. Like, I think that's an awesome way to approach it. Like, pairs of 2 and we do our own thing, but only if we're at full strength.
So much like Blades in the Dark, I just to sort of let you guys know, like, I do have kind of clocks running here and there with certain things, and I'm not saying this to scare you guys against doing anything. I'm just trying to be somewhat transparent in how this is working. So if you get the longer you all wait, basically, more things can happen elsewhere, right? But so it's sort of up to you all. If you want to wait to get back to full health, that means your enemy has had time to do certain things in certain places. If you want to go there quicker, you get there before they've done some of those things, but at lesser strength. So it's really kind of up to you all to decide. So you just tell me how many days would you want to rest before you head back out?
I think we need 3 full prolonged rests for Renil to recover most of her endurance while injured.
Okay. Then she'll lose the wound, hopefully, on the journey wherever we go, but you may not get much more endurance after that.
3 days feels like a long time.
Cut it to 2 if you want to cut a day off.
3 days feels like a long time to sit when we've got so much going on around us.
It's your wound. I'm happy to do with whatever you want.
While we're in camp, can we not send these groups to do things?
Yeah, you can send them out before. This is specifically for you all, so you can send them out to leave. They're like, if you're anything they do is going to take several days because it's travel there, travel back, and whatever it is they need to do while they're there. But like, you can send them out. So this is really only affecting like you guys and where you go, basically.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So with the Rivendell elves were the ones that stayed, and they were the ones that failed, and so I believe they saw, was it trolls?
They saw basically a troll driver. So like there was a cruel pale orc that you all know from back in the days of Rotag. And you have heard, you already fought one of Rotag's allies down in Tharbad, and now there's another one here. That they were the one, I think Gilly actually saw the orc up close. Remember when you fell down and you tried to scamper away? I think you saw, so a very pale orc, has a very long whip, and is essentially a tender for these trolls. Because trolls, you all would know, are very dull-witted. Like that's literally one of their features, is that they're dull-witted, or their traits basically. And they can be, cowed in certain ways, and they're also creatures of shadow and whatnot. So like, but this orc is kind of a taskmaster in some way, kind of making sure that these trolls are going places. And so there was a cadre of snow trolls that were being led northward into the mountains, away from any currently known landmark. And so that's what Elrohir and Eladin and Corridor and the other Rivendell elf that I didn't name. That's what they saw.
Okay. So then it would seem that we should definitely, knowing that they saw the camp, we probably want to make sure that that is one of our destinations, to try to make sure that we are kind of minimizing the fallout from that failure.
If we send everyone away, then at least we won't be ambushed. Like, we don't need someone protecting the camp. That does mean that they could find our camp while we're gone, though. So there's the risk there.
Because I do believe that Balavan was going to stay at camp, most likely.
Well, that was an option.
But I would say don't.
If we're leaving anyone behind.
Balavan's not your responsibility. It's the responsibility of Amdarim, and so at worst, they will take him with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we thinking about doing 3 locations with 2 groups? Or are we thinking of maybe doing 2 locations with 3 groups?
That was the first
option, yeah.
The first, 3 locations with 2 groups. And then either we go with one of the 2 groups or we go on our own.
So I vote we send 2 to scout Kelikdur. Perhaps we send 2 with us to go deal with the trolls. And then send 2 we haven't scouted yet the ruins to get information on, but we have heard of it, but we don't have more concrete info.
Because everything went so well with the Tharbad and the Dunland Dwarves, you got like extra info, and that's how you discovered the ruins of Dol
like an extraordinary.
But you haven't done a proper scout. You do know that it seems to be a place where they're training up beasts. Now, I also should point out, you guys, if you wanted to, you can just march on Karn Doom right now. But there are obviously consequences for not addressing these various other things.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we're definitely sending 2 groups to Moramin Taras, because we're sending the Tharbad group.
And I would say either the Oathbreakers or the Rangers, because they've seen it. It was the Rangers, though, they went with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the Oathbreakers, because they're stealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tharbad's group, because they're the ones that actually need to grab the gear.
Which one do we want to deal with then?
I like the idea of going to the ruins, since that is Rotag's captain. But Daggett wouldn't really have a preference because he doesn't know much about Rotag. As a player, I like the full circle aspect of it.
Because I think...
You think?
It's way too quiet. You can't say you think. Right? Like 4 seconds of silence go by. You know I'm freaking out. Like all of a sudden, every pore of sweat coming out because of the silence.
I don't know. I think either we need to deal with Moram Taras or ignore it for now and deal with the orcs and try and use that to pit the orcs further against them.
We're definitely sending two to Moram and to Ross. I think we should. We've known about Kellickdor since the first time, and we didn't send anyone there last time. I think we should send people there this time.
Okay.
Or go ourselves.
Yeah. Either of those.
Are we good with just moving Tharbad and Oathbreakers to Taras?
Oh yeah, that's perfectly
Take
fine.
them off the table?
Yes.
Wait, wasn't it the Rangers and the Dunlin who were at Moram Taras?
Rangers and Oathbreakers went.
Yeah.
Oathbreakers
this
have
time
the
it'll
stealthy
be
trait, though?
Oathbreakers
Yeah.
and Tharbad. Yeah.
Yep.
Based
So for, like,
on
this
the
kind of
information
mission.
they got, now we're sending a second.
You're sending them
group.
back. You're sending them
Yeah.
back. You're basically sending them back to continue their work, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Okay.
the
We're taking the
listening-
Rangers out,
I think
but
that makes
Tharbad's
sense.
going.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're sending Tharnau and the Oathbreakers to Moramin to Russ. Okay. I'm moving
Yeah,
the pieces
Tharnau,
around.
For the hill
his traits don't really
plan.
help as much, but he's the one that I think would best be disguised as Hillfolk.
They're humans.
I feel
yeah,
like Rangers,
for
Yeah.
sure.
they look a little bit more rangery.
And they're probably less likely to be recognized. Some of these rangers, it's possible they could have had encounters with Hillfolk. You never know. Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense then. Okay, so you've got Moramin, Taras, you got the Hillfolk stuff taken care of. So that's Oathbreakers. So then what do you want to do about Kellickdor? Who are you
We'll
sending
just go there. It's unknown.
Okay. We can go there.
All right, so we'll go ourselves.
Yes. Now
Cool.
knowing that we're not going to be up to full health, do we want to have us and two groups go somewhere? Or do we want to just solo this?
I like the idea of tackling more places at once, but I understand the caution if we want to bring people with us.
So to clarify, you're thinking just us go to Kellickdor, we send two groups to scout at the troll place and two groups to scout at the ruins of Dol Guleth?
Yeah,
Yes.
so we could
I
get four
think that's
locations
what
at once.
Daggett is proposing.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't mind if we do three, though. I'm not dead set on it.
Okay.
Not like what
So-
Gilly said.
All right. So then you are sending someone over to where the beasts were in the ruins of Dol Guleth. Who do you want to send there? The people that saw it before were the Dunlin dwarves in Tharbad, but Tharbad's already tasked with something. So do you want to
So
send?
Dunlin-
Send Dunland.
Okay.
And maybe Rangers as well, because they're cautious.
Okay.
Like they
Yeah.
won't get stuck in
Yeah,
there.
I like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got.
And I think they probably have a better sense of like animals in the wild and that kind of thing, like if it comes to combat.
So now it's all elves going north?
So then you have
Yeah,
elves.
the elves can party north.
So you want to
Which-
send them after where the troll driver and the trolls were going, right? To the north,
Yeah, 'cause
where
he's-
you're. Okay.
Yeah, they
And
saw
we
them.
just want
They
them
know a
to
little bit about
scout.
them. We can have them sabotage.
Well, yeah, that's why I was going to get to that question after that. Once you guys have like all the folks figured out, we'll go
That
through.
makes sense.
Unless
though,
you
'cause
do
they're
want
swift.
them to come with us. I like the idea of sending them north, but Gilly, you like the idea of two coming with us.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
I
Jeff.
don't mind.
No, it's fine. This really does feel like we're playing Gen Lab Alpha again. This is like for Remuners. Yeah, this is exactly what this is, which is good because that's kind of what I wanted. All right, so let's go through then. We've got Oathbreakers and Tharbad. They're going to Moramin Taras. Are you trying to get them to infiltrate? Are you trying to get them to assassinate? Like, is there, like, if you were to give me like,
I would
term
like
or
a
word-
patrol to just disappear. They're gone for several days at a time, and they just don't come back. And then
Okay.
we have their gear.
So it sounds like we're trying to do some sabotage then, kind of.
Because if we're going to be gone for a whole week or more, like is that step one and then there's another step that they do after that? Or is that the
Yes,
sole
because
thing that
like
they're
right
doing
now
in the
we
week?
need to gather information about which orcs were at odds, like the uneasy alliance, basically. Like which orc captain was part of that uneasy alliance, so that
Mhm.
we can drive a wedge between them.
So you just want them So then, are you asking? So are you tasking them with infiltrating the keep and getting that info, or just getting the
I would
armor?
say they never go inside the walls. I think that's too risky.
Okay.
Like they wait for a patrol to come out, and that patrol never comes back. What do you guys think?
How long are we staying in Angmar though? Like we just keep sending them back and forth. It's like what is really getting done? We just
Like I
send
said,
them in to commit.
There are clocks, so at a certain point, stuff
I feel like
will happen.
yeah, everyone's first mission came back pretty healthy. Everyone's pretty ready to go. We just full send.
We'll send like you want them to go
So-
in the walls.
So do
Like
assassination.
do as much things as possible. Yeah.
I think infiltration. In which would be inside the walls. They're going inside the walls. They're information gathering. If
Okay.
they have opportunities to take some folks out, then I think that would be wise. I
feel like
agree.
Either way, they
Floyd,
need to
that-
attack a patrol just so they can look like hill folk.
We don't
to
even
go
get that
in.
granular with
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
Yeah.
bit granular.
Interesting.
I think
Because-
what is our overall goal? To have them assassinate Braddock.
I thought the goal was to get two groups going against each other.
Well, using NPC allies, we're sending them to either scout or sabotage. Whatever happens, happens. It's just those two choices sort of deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So sabotage.
we just sabo every position.
Yes.
All right, Sabo. Got it. Okay, so they're going to sabotage, likely flavor-wise, doing what Dago was just saying. And if your rolls go really well, maybe it does escalate into something more. Okay, so then at the ruins of Dulgoeth, you're sending the Dunland dwarves, so Thorfinn, Thebe, and their crew, and you're sending Lady Aracel and her rangers. What are you looking to have them do with the beasts of the ruins of Dulgoeth?
Want them to sabo as well, yeah.
Okay,
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
What that's killing or setting them free or making them unusable assets.
Okay, sounds great.
I like that description.
And then the mountains, I'm just going to call it for now, since you don't know anything else, I'm just going to call it the mountains of Angmar. You're sending them north. What do you want the elves to do?
Scouting. I think
Yeah,
that's
so we
just
can
a
learn
scouting
more about
mission.
Scout. So
Yeah.
just scout. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds good. So then we're looking at the target numbers. Oh my gosh, get out of my way. Virus scan. Crap. All right. So you're sending, so for scouting, we're going to make that a TN15 for the elves. And then for sabotage for the other is going to be a TN18 for the other two. Just to be consistent with what we've done before. Are you purchasing stuff so I can keep track of it?
How many audience dice do we have?
I don't know.
We're
Favorite all around.
we're flush.
That's how I get viruses.
Yeah, I like the idea of favorite all around and
Yeah,
bonus dice.
serious.
Yeah.
That's 21 dice though, so if we can afford it.
Do we have that?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Awesome.
Spend it.
All right, so they're all favored. Any bonus dice?
Yeah.
Max
Two
Two.
bonus dice each, and then 5 dice for favored. So
Freaking
7 each, 21
Steven
total.
and all this goddamn head math.
That's what
I took-
happens when I
I took
turn
the
this
21
into an RTS.
out.
Steven just like,
What
hey,
else?
This
I
is my
took the
jam.
21 else, and then I'm taking off another.
No, the 21 includes the bonus.
Yeah, it's 5 for
Yeah.
favored,
21
and then
total.
2
Okay,
extra bonus
got it.
dice.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm
Okay,
good.
cool. And then
I can do
I'll
that
work
math.
out what they actually get for their skills and stuff a little later. But we'll have that for next time. We'll do it the same thing we did. We'll wait until we get back, and then we'll sort of
Cool.
narrate how that happens. Okay. And then I have you guys as resting for 2 days, and then you're heading out to Kellic Door to see, what's up. Just knock on the door. Like,
What's
Say
up?
hi.
What's
Hey.
going
If
on,
we're-
guys?
hey, we're,
So-
we're
Wanna
party?
new in the neighborhood. Hey, how's it going?
If we're going
If we
by
play music too
ourselves-
loud, just come over. Just come over. It's part of the fun.
if we're going by ourselves, Aurelian could be talked into resting for 3 days.
Okay.
If we're not going to have anybody else backing us up,
I would really like that. I feel like a renewal at full
Enjoy.
strength is a big thing.
I'm happy with whatever Aurelian wants to do. You're the one that's injured, so it's your risk.
The HOA is basically just Angmar troops coming in. That's all it is. That's how
It's the
all
true
of it-
evil.
It,
The head of the HOA is the pale orc
Yeah.
with the whip.
Yeah, exactly.
Your trash can needs to be behind a fence.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We did not allow corpses on your front lawn.
I'm sorry. Your tent actually needs to be sky blue. You have powder blue, and that's just not going to work for us. Okay. So let's reset then, and then we'll close it down. So as we'll just sort of paint the picture here for a moment. A couple days have passed. We've had some strategy sessions. We've had some folks who are participating and just scouting the area, keeping watch, making sure whatever happened with the Rivendell elves while you guys were gone doesn't repeat. While there have been some movements of enemies here and there, none seem to have directly come in those days to the base. You get a couple days worth of rest. We start to see over those couple of days the healthier groups start to leave. You see Lady Aracel and the Dunlin dwarves, they start venturing eastward. They know exactly what their plan is. They're going to figure out some way to sabotage the breeding pits, the training pits at the ruins of Dol Guleth. You see Oathbreakers, you see Tharnau and his Tharbad wardens head out with the intentions to do as much damage. They have a very lengthy discussion with Daggett, who gives them ideas about how to infiltrate or how to get, kind of make themselves seem like members of the Hillfolk. And then you talk with Amdrim, you talk with Elohir and Eladin, who are very excited, even though one of them is limping, to finally actually go out and do something. And they're venturing northward, and they're very curious, and they're actually kind of thankful. Like you can tell that the two brothers are kind of thankful that they're going there, because it sort of was really curious to them. And you're not sure if there's maybe a reason for that, but you can tell that they're very, like, they give each other, they exchange these weird looks the way those twins can sometimes kind of just look at each other, and you realize that maybe they're communicating on a different level. And all the elves move off. They're bringing Balavan with them. You all are probably at base for a day by yourselves with no one else around, continuing to recuperate. And then eventually on the third day, you pack up your things and you begin venturing somewhat northwestwardly in the direction of a tower known as Kelek Dor. And we will pick up with that next time in episode, I think, 68. So there we go.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Oh my gosh.
So
All right.
good.
So elves are going up here. Yeah,
We got some yearning in this session.
Yes.
it's a good thing,
We did.
because sending them to assassinate Braddock is probably going to get him killed. So it's a good thing that we got a couple of those things in there before the time.
We chose sabotage, not
That's-
assassinate.
Same thing. I
It
didn't
is-
put
it's both team.
there wasn't Scout and Sabotage were just examples. You could tell them to do anything you want. Like you can tell them to assassinate. You can tell them to go build a house. Do whatever you want. Just tell me what it is, and based upon what you tell them to do, I'll set a TN. That's kind of what it is. Okay.
Oh goodness.
Cool. We will be back next week with more One Ring. Why don't we do some closing plugs and we get on out of here? My Trey, you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
Yes. When I'm not inviting myself to games here, I am My Two Plays Games on YouTube, and check it out if you want.
Fantastic. And soon we'll be joining another game with us, actually, in addition to this. And so I'm very excited about that. Let's see. So what do we got coming up? Monday is our next night, where we're not quite into our new campaigns yet. So if we're doing something on Monday, it's going to be a random one shot like we've been doing the past couple of weeks. We will get back to an alternating Monday campaign schedule on the 18th, when we're going to be starting up some Monster of the Week. And then the week after that, on the 25th, we're going to be starting up Fragged Empire. And you can see my Trey's going to jump into that with us on Mondays. And so we're going to alternate between those two games for a little while, Monster of the Week, Fragged Empire, and have some fun. This Tuesday, Stephen, what are we doing this Tuesday?
Aaron will be running a session for our regular Tuesday crew of Teenage Mutant Dirtbags, which is a TMNT style RPG. It should be a lot of fun. Just get a light RPG one shot to fill in the time. And then a week after that, we'll be doing a pirate RPG one shot as well for Talk
That
Like
is
a Pirate
true.
Day. So we got a lot of fun stuff on Tuesday coming up.
everyone needs to talk like a pirate on that stream and look like a pirate on that stream. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Mel, do you want my wig?
Obviously.
Need something.
Obviously.
Thursday next week, we're back to Die, which could be either the finale or at least a chapter finale. It's going to be a finale of some kind. So we're kind of excited as we're hitting the big moment of the campaign where we kind of decide: do we keep going? Do we not? So it's going to be a finale of sorts. So come take a look at that next Friday. Back to Delta Green, and a week from today, more Wondering. If you haven't yet followed the channel here on Twitch, please do so, and head over to YouTube as well. Look for Adventures in Lollygagging over there. Subscribe, like stuff, comment on stuff. If you have games that you would like to see us run at some point, throw out some ideas. I'm always happy to hear what people are looking to see. Then other than that, I think let's go ahead and raid our friends over at the Boys from the Baltic Star. What are they playing? I can't remember if they're playing Orbital Blues or Traveler or something tonight, or if they're doing that other weird game. They're doing that other weird game. So we're going to go ahead and raid them. They're kind people. Say hi to them, and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.